Okay, so this is going to be the video of the trigger job that I spoke of yesterday on the Glock pistol. We have, got the pistol field stripped. Okay, now we just have to break it all the way down, get everything out of it. So we're going to take off the striker retention plate, take the striker and striker spring assembly out, take the striker safety out, and then the extractor. Everything's coming out of the slide. We're going to punch the pins out front and rear. We're going to pull the connector housing out. The trigger is going to come out. Trigger bar is going to come out. The block's coming out. So as soon as I get it all broken down, I'll show you that piece. All right, I backed up about a half a step here, reassembled the pistol, okay, to make sure that it is in fact unloaded and clear. There's no magazine present on the bench or in the pistol. The reason I did this is I do want to show folks that may not know how to field strip the pistol, how to do that. So it's unloaded and clear. We want to press the trigger. Okay. We want to pull the slide back just a little bit. Pull down on the tabs left and right, and everything comes off the front of the firearm. Pull the recoil spring assembly out. Pull the barrel out. Boom, bang, boom. Field stripped. All right. So the next step in the process is we're going to break this slide down. So we're going to reach in with a punch in front of the rear of the striker. Striker spring retainer under here. We push forward on that while pulling the retention plate out. We want to keep it covered up so that the extractor spring doesn't come shooting out. Okay, you just heard a click. Okay, so here goes the back plate, and now we're going to pull the striker assembly out. The extractor spring and plunger comes out. Get the extractor out of the pistol. This pistol's never come apart, so it's still a little finicky. There we go. Let's get this dude out. There we go. We'll get the striker plunger out, and then the extractor. So now we have a bare slide. Okay. The first part that we're going to work on, or the parts that go into the slide that we are going to work on, is I'm going to smooth the striker safety out and round the head of it just a little bit so that we're not working against any angles. I'm going to polish the face of the striker as well as where the trigger run resets off of it. So those two surfaces are getting polished. The plunger itself is getting polished, and then the hole in which it rides is going to get polished, so everything's moving as smoothly as it can. That's going to be the slide piece on the work that's going to be done. Next, we're going to break down the frame. So now we're going to break down the frame. You've got 3 pins in the frame, okay? The 2 here that hold in the trigger and the block, and then you've got the connector block that's held in place by the pin in the rear. So we're just going to get those popped out real quick. That's the large pin on the bottom. That's the top pin. Come on. There we go. Now the rear. Push right through. There we go. Now, life is going to get real easy. Okay. Get the front block out. We're just going to pry it out. Okay. Pull it straight out. Now the slides stop, and the trigger assembly all comes out, and now we got a bare frame, with exception of the takedown tab, which we don't have to remove for any reason, so I'm not going to. All right, the stuff that's going to get worked on here is real simple. It's all right here. The trigger bar is going to get stoned and then polished everywhere that it makes a connection. The connector is going to get polished. And then when we put everything back into the firearm, we're going to see at which point we have contact. Okay, sorry. The cross-looking thing is called the cruciform on the trigger bar, and it contacts a raised ridge here. Now, we have to have contact there for the firing mechanism to be safe, okay, so that it doesn't drop out prematurely. So we do have to maintain the integrity of that piece. However, we don't have to have it contacting like as much as it does at the factory. So we're going to mark where it's at, and then through, get a look at that. Up here, we're going to drill a small hole and pin the housing so that the trigger cannot move forward past a predetermined point, which is still safe. The safety on the face of the trigger will not operate at that point, so then we'll have to put it back into the pistol. We're going to have to mark where it becomes free of the frame and then trim the tab on that guy and then put it all back together, and then we're going to be done. It's not that hard, but it makes a big difference. All right, so there you have it, guys, a fully disassembled Glock 17. And now, like I said, there's not a lot of work here. We got 3 parts here that we're going to work on. Okay, those 3. And then we've got 2 parts here that we're going to work on. So we're going to be working on 5 pieces. All right, when I get the first piece of work done, I will go back on this video and pull the spring out of the plunger, because we're going to get to work on that. So when we do work on the cruciform, we're not changing, we're going to be careful not to change any of the angles. Everything's going to get smoothed over really nicely. Especially we do not want to change the geometry of the tab on the back, because that is the component that presses against the striker. Okay, you don't want that slipping off at the wrong time, so you don't want to change the angle. We just want to make everything as smooth as it can possibly be. All right, so pay very close attention to what I just said. If you do this piece of work at home and you are honing on that rear tab of the cruciform, which is the one that makes contact with the face of the striker, do not change the angle of that. Okay, you're gonna have problems if you do. That's my disclaimer. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we got all the polishing done. I'm normally kind of serious in these videos or whatever, but I've got some comedy for you, because you know what, dang it, when you're working on guns, as long as I've been working on guns, shit gets launched across the freaking garage from time to time. Hasn't happened to me in quite a while, but you polish this little bastard, it gets real slippery. And as I was working on it on the buffer, it decided to go about Mach fucking 5 across the garage, and I spent about 40 minutes looking for it. Found it. And it looks pretty good, man. It's just super shiny. It's exactly the result we're going for. But yeah, I did find it. And then when I went inside to wash it, I put a drain stop in, and it doesn't quite fit, but it's better than nothing. But this little bastard slipped past the drain stop when I was washing the polish off, and ended up in the garbage disposal, so I had to go grab my vacuum and vacuum it out of the garbage disposal. So this little son of a bitch has caused me a little bit of strife tonight, a little headache, but we got it polished really well. Okay, it's very shiny where it needs to be shiny. We got the connector polished highly in all the places it needs to be, as well as the connecting surfaces, it's hard to kind of see, of the striker. That's really hard to see, but it's all very smooth, very shiny. And then the trigger bar, everywhere that it needs to shine, it shines like a diamond. And so all of the deburring and polishing work is done. I had to put everything back in the pistol, and then measure and mark where the cruciform makes contact positively with the lead edge of that safety notch. Then we're going to mark it, drill it, pin it, put it all back together, and then actuate the safety on the face of the trigger to see how much we have to trim off, so that we can retain that safety feature, because if we reduce the forward movement of the trigger, okay, in its home, right, as the trigger is depressed into the pistol, the safety becomes depressed, and then it will be bound by the frame, and it would never, return out. We're going to make sure that it returns out and does the job that it was supposed to do. So anyway, I figured, I'd share that little comedic event with that freaking plunger. So it's getting a little late. I'm going to finish this tomorrow. All I have to do is drill and pin and then deal with the safety. But right now, just this action. Let's do that. Is a lot smoother than stock, right? And that's the goal that we wanted to achieve. We wanted it to be smoother. Tomorrow, it's going to be shorter and smoother. Okay, so I'm going to do this in 2 parts. I was going to do this video in 1 part. It's too late. I'm not going to finish this gun tonight. So I'm going to do the measurement of the cruciform connection and then the safety tomorrow. I just wanted to be able to post something because I said I was going to have it done tonight. It's not going to be complete. It's late as hell, and I'm not going to be working on this gun after midnight. But tomorrow, part 2, finished product. Stay tuned.